Today, we're going to talk about how to qualify for second round PPP and how to qualify for that. And to know how to qualify for that, first of all, I want you to understand where we are in terms with the PPP, second round PPP. The Congress passed the $900 billion COVID relief. It's actually called the Emergency COVID Relief Act, ECR. Okay, Congress passed it, sent to President Trump. But USA Today, some at USA Today speculating Trump might not sign it right away. So we don't know when it will become a law. And all of these noises might be none and void if he is not signing it. And the Fox News has no word about President Trump will sign it. Instead, the Fox News said Pence is urging everybody to stay in fight for Trump's election. So I want to give you that big picture because I don't want to get ourselves too excited if we don't get that signed. I believe it will not be wasted, but when it will come to life, I do not know. And, who knows other than Trump? And nobody will know that. Okay, quickly to cover the second stimulus check. And if that is signed to law and we get second stimulus check, and that one is for people who make $150,000 a year under married household. If it is single, it's $75,000. If you're AGI, I know I hate this word because nobody knows what AGI means. AGI is adjusted gross income, and you can just simply understand that as your total income. Okay, so if your W-2 total income is less than 75,000, then you get your stimulus check, $600 per person, including kids. So 600 for you, 600 for your loved one, then 600 for your kid. Don't love them because when they grow up, they don't listen to you. So just say 600 for kid. And then the other 600 could be for anybody on your tax return that's dependent. They no longer limit whether it's your parents or it's your cousin, and it doesn't matter. So now it is 600 per head. Just keep that in mind. And I want to say that to you. This is going to come on down based on your 2019 tax return. And unfortunately, if your 2019 tax return was good, you're not going to get it. But if your 2019 taxes has a bank account that's wrong, change it now and go onto website to change it, okay? irs.gov website. And if your address is wrong, please change it. And just make sure that you understand they are doing it based on 2019. If you did not file 2019, then file it. If you're getting money from Social Security and for for the disability benefit and things like that, don't worry, you will get it because Social Security has a way to keep track and knows that to get to you. So that is so much about stimulus check, and I'm done talking about that. Now PPP. Okay, let's talk about the first round of PPP, those people who got that. Okay, couple of things you need to remember. And the number one, right now, there is a simplified, this package says that if you get less than 150,000 on PPP for the first round, and you haven't really applied for forgiveness yet, good news for you because they will come up with an easy way for you to do. So you may get away from doing it really simple. Sign the form and you're done. So wouldn't that be wonderful? So maybe those ones who are not applied for forgiveness yet, maybe you should wait for this to pass. Wait for Trump to sign, okay? And we're just watching to see whether the White House light will turn on and whether someone would hand over a nice pen and then, not pens, but pen, and then the President Trump can sign it. Please, I want him to sign. I will do everything to make him sign that. But it's not matter what I do. But anyway, so with that, everything we talked about is phantom. It is temporary. It is not real. And it's only real when President Trump gave that signature. So maybe you should wait for $150,000 PPP that you received and to not go through the difficult application process. You can do it simple, okay, once this act passed. And also, Good news, good news. If this act can pass, can be signed, then the expenses for those with PPP. Remember, we use the PPP to pay for payroll. Remember, your accountant was telling you that, well, we have to take that out because you cannot still deduct the payroll expense, because that they are doing that because the IRS had really had put out a revenue procedure on November 18 to tell taxpayer that you better not count, you better don't count that expenses twice. And so we were like, oh, okay, we will not. But now this new act will say that IRS, they are overriding IRS's word, saying that we don't have to count that money into expense. So that means we can deduct those payroll expenses, utility expenses, rent, and things like that. Isn't that wonderful? So that is two very big matter. Number three, and remember that EIDL loan for the grant part, like you apply, they give you $10,000, $1,000, $2,000, depends on how many people you have, how many employees you have. Remember that one is actually have to be taxable because they don't allow you to, it is not grant, even though they call it grant, so we have to pay taxes. And now this relief act says that we don't have to pay taxes on that. So we already, in our firm, when we did tax planning, we actually already include that in other income. So that means our accountant would go back to call the client, goes, congratulations, you don't have this $10,000 income. You don't have to worry about that $500 taxes we make you pay at the end because you don't have that $10,000 income. So these are the three biggest thing I want you to remember. Okay, so number one, EIDL loan doesn't count as income anymore. That grant, EIDL loan grant, it doesn't count as income. Number two, $150,000 PPP, that can be simplified if everything goes smoothly. And then the last one is that the expenses don't have to be deducted. Okay, so with all of that, this is about the old PPP loan. Now, this act said they're going to do a second PPP. The funding is provided to allow the hardest hit small business to receive a second forgivable PPP loan. Remember, it is forgivable PPP loan. So you still have to think that you can get it, but later on you have to apply for forgiveness, okay? The person who can get second PPP loan, number one, they must have used, of course, they have to be business people. They have to be small business and in business, right? That's number one. But first, they have to use up the first PPP loan. If you got a PPP loan from before and you didn't use it up yet, then you cannot apply for the second one, okay? Number two, you must have less than 300 or fewer employees. Got that? So if you have more, don't worry because you're not part of the league. You cannot get second PPP loan. And also, this is new because last Saturday I was talking about the proposal. The proposal was still talking about 30%. Now they lowered that to 25. Hear me. They're saying that if you can prove in 2020, there's a 4 quarters, right? In 2020, if one of the 4 quarters you sustained 25% of loss compared to the same quarter of 2019. I repeat, if in 2019 fourth quarter, your gross revenue was $100,000. Gross revenue, folks, I'm not talking about profit, okay? I'm talking about that credit card payment you got from your client, gross profit. If fourth quarter 2019 is 100,000, let's say. In 2020, you have to be under 75,000 on gross revenue in order to qualify second round PPP. And otherwise, they do not consider you have been hard hit by the coronavirus. There are businesses actually thriving over this situation. So those businesses should withhold themselves and not to apply, right? You would agree with me. And then leave the money for people who really, really suffered, like those restaurant owners, and not even all the restaurant owners. Some restaurants are actually doing pretty good because they had adopted to the way that COVID-19 provided curbside pickup, whatever. Some of the restaurant, they turn over and they become a really hot place, and they did good business. We even have clients that way. Okay, so I'm not making it up. I see it. And like the movie theaters are music centers and all of these crowd gathering venues, like Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. I mean, we used to have this big, huge event at DMAC with 900 some people, and now we can't do it. And those are the hard hit small businesses, and those can apply. Also, in the first round of PPP, their nonprofit organization, not all the nonprofit can apply. Nonprofit like the association and like the Chamber of Commerce, they cannot apply. So this second PPP, they opened that up. They're saying that, yes, you can apply. And they also, in the second PPP, not only they say that apply, please, and you can get PPP, and the people may still worried about how am I going to apply for forgiveness if I cannot spend all of it on the payroll, right? I will cover that. They expanded the cost that you can spend on other things, and I'll read that out to you what they can expand. So now let me leave that to you. The people who can give me a second. Let me look at my notes here. So I want to add one thing for the commerce, for the commerce kind of association, kind of organization. When they apply for the second round PPP, and they need to know that they must have 150 or fewer employee. Remember, I was talking about 300, but in this case, for the 501c6 people, and they actually need to be $150,000, 150 employee less. Okay, so let me kind of add more things to who qualifies. The when you apply the first round of PPP, you got it, and that is already saying that you qualified for PPP application. Whether the second round would be qualified to you or not, it depends on whether you have that revenue deep, right? You may be getting a PPP, then you came out pretty good, and then the second round, and you will not qualify because your revenue is going up, right? So that is one thing I want you to know. And you are the qualified borrowers. You can do second PPP. And businesses who previously applied PPP, but when they apply for the second one, there's a threshold. They're saying that cannot be more than $2 million. Remember, this second round PPP is so much focused on small, teeny businesses. So they want to make sure that you know, and if you already got $2 million PPP in the first round, and thank you very much, and you don't apply for the second one because you don't qualify. Okay, the second PPP also, the second PPP for the first time borrowers, the second PPP loan opens to sole proprietors, independent contractors, and eligible self-employed individuals. Okay, let me give you my interpretation. And obviously, I am not representing any authoritative organization, cannot speak at that level, but I will just give you what I think. Sole proprietors are the one who file Schedule E and Schedule C, right? And the independent contractor, and you could be someone that getting a 1099. And in 2020, your 1099 is called NEC. It's 1099 NEC. Is no longer 1099 miscellaneous. They made some changes to the form. So if you are getting that, NEC stands for non-employment compensation. So in 2020, if you receive that, you are an independent contractor, and you should apply for second round of PPP. Okay. And what about eligible self-employed individuals? eligible self-employed individuals. And here, my understanding is self-employed individual means that you're actually working for yourself, right? And eligible self-employed individuals, and that could be in the form of you're getting a K1 from a partnership, and you are maybe having a Schedule C, but just didn't make money, and you are trying to do that business, and you're self-employed, and you started something, but it's not going anywhere, or because of pandemic, it's just not gonna go anywhere this year. So they loosen up the qualifications for small businesses. And in the act somewhere, I read it, but I couldn't really find it before the webinar. It says that they are focused on helping minority, small businesses, and that this second round of PPP, this is their focus. We will see, because the process goes this way. Trump signs, so then SBA get the carved out the budget. Then SBA is the one that developing all these rules. Then these rules will be sent out to the lender where you got your first PPP. Okay, folks, if you got your first PPP from, say, US Bank, and know that to be in contact with US Bank, because it will come through the same place most likely. And I cannot speak for the small banks. Maybe those people who did in the very little small banks, they probably don't have the capacity to do second round. Then you end up has to go to larger banks. But I will definitely inform you as soon as I know anything about how the bank is going to work this out, and I will let you know through our webinar. But I knew for sure, if you work with the larger banks, they already sending you out an email saying that wait for our portal to be updated so you can apply the second round right here and with us. So I knew that is working with the larger national sized bank. Don't really know the small bank yet. So just know that. And when you qualify and you really want to make sure you know which bank to work with. The bill, this new stimulus package, also allow you to return all or part of the previous PPP loan to reapply for maximum amount allowed to them. So what they're saying is that, let's say the second round PPP started in January, let's say, and you applied in August of PPP and you got approved in September, and for whatever reason you didn't spend it yet. And then in that case, do you want to apply for forgiveness and having the portion of the PPP not forgiving, or you want to just return it and apply for the maximum of the second PPP? That is so much relying on your particular situation. You really want to study that, because second round PPP is definitely the one that beneficial for small business. So now I want, because our time is going to, I only allowed for 10 minutes here, 30 minutes here, so I have 10 minutes left. I want to talk to you about second PPP loan terms. So you probably want to know that, well, okay, I know there's a second PPP. If it is there, what kind of terms do I have? Number one, second PPP eligible expenses is payroll, rent, covered mortgage interest, and utilities, and also the other ones here, and also allow you to use covered worker protection and facility modification expenditures, including personal protective equipment to comply with COVID-19 federal health safety guidelines. Okay, see, they didn't mention about the state. Okay, so this is federal health safety guidelines, and you want to know that the PPP money, the second round PPP money, you can use that money to pay for that. A perfect example, I will say to you. And there are companies now, they're reorganizing their inside because they have to have the social distancing. For example, gym, and they cannot have their equipment next to each other that way anymore. So they have to redo their electronics to replug them and separating them out so they can have people coming in to exercise. Those are expenses related to that. Social distancing is a recommendation of federal health safety guideline, and a face mask too. Right? So you can buy face mask for your employee, and that is part of your second PPP amount. Okay, and what else? expenses to suppliers that are essential at the time of purchase to the recipient's current operation. What does that mean? Restaurant buying vegetables is essential for my operation. You can use that money. You can use PPP money to buy supplies. All right. See, they expanded it. It used to be just what? Used to be just payroll and rent and interest, mortgage interest and utilities, right? Now what? Now included your PPE and your modification to your facility, and also included expenses to suppliers. And what else? They also include, listen to this, and you will be happy when you pay service fee to community CPA, because that is covered. It says, this is the language, and covered operating costs such as software and cloud computing services and accounting needs. Hey, when did accountant become so important? Of course, we know that is so needed. When people apply for PPP, they need numbers, they need a financial statement. When you apply for loans, they make you write all these plans, and how could people don't how there's no way our small business people would be able to get that kind of document without hiring someone professional to do. I am so proud of the government to know that is the need. And I mean, I don't, most of our clients probably, don't care and thinking that, well, that's good, but it's not like if I don't have PPP, I'm not going to hire community CPA to do work. It is, of course, not the case, but it's just good to have that gesture, to have that understanding on the paper, saying, knowing, and it is requiring a lot of accounting help in order to get where the small business needs to get. Okay, so the long term, continue, two more. And to be eligible for full loan forgiveness, we're talking about the second one, okay? The borrower, which is you, will have to spend no less than 60% of the funds on payroll. So what does that mean? That means the second PPP loan, if it is coming for 100,000 and you need to spend 60,000 on payroll, clear? 60%, okay? And also, it tells you that the eligible period is 24 weeks, just like before. Remember, in August, we changed the first one to 24 weeks. So the second one is the same, 24 weeks. What is 24 weeks? Okay, 24 weeks is 6 months. 6 months. Come on, you should be able to handle some money. Okay, so that's the term. That's the other point. The one last point, okay? PPP borrower, you may receive a loan amount of up to 2.5 times of your average monthly payroll cost in the year prior to the loan or the calendar year, prior to the loan or the calendar year, the same with the first PPP loan. So what they're saying is they are wanting you to use your monthly payroll cost in the year prior to you getting the loan. You know what that is. And you haven't really get the loan. You already know how much you're paying for December. Most of the small business don't have any PPP loan left after October, most of them. So you really do know how much your monthly average is. So you use that, and the 2.5 is the same like last time. Same with the PPP, the first round of PPP. This time, they do put a limit on the 2 million, right? They're saying that you can't get, because in the first round, there are people getting $10 million. Okay, so this time they're really focused on small one. So they want to make sure that you are really, you're really the small businesses. And this time on the PPP, one interesting thing is they want to use NAICS code to define how much money you are getting. What is NAICS code? NAICS code is this nationally defined industry type. And I don't even know NAICS, NAICS code. I don't know what that stands for. And that is just something on the tax return. We always put that on for you. Okay. And you need to make sure that if you want to get more money, that NIC code need to be starting at 72. So if the accountant, for whatever reason, had that code to be something different, make sure you change that. Okay? And that is really important. That should be the hotel and the restaurant. Hotel and the restaurant, instead of that 2.5, and they give you 3.5 this time. Okay, it is limited to 2 million, but see, if you have a NAIC code start with 72 and you are getting 3.5 of your monthly payroll cost. So let's say if your monthly payroll cost is $10,000. So if you're a restaurant and a hotel, you got 3.5, 10,000. So that's 35,000. But if you are a regular business, for example, I know others personal service like the massage and the tattoo places, those are only got affected too, but that is 2.5. Okay, so this is really it related to all the things I know about PPP. I really did study. Okay, I'm not just pulling it out of a thin air, and I went through all kind of resources, and I see a lot of mistake on different places. So it's just so much knowledge, and people have a hard time to grasp. I am included, so don't take our words as it is, and really study that on your own. Now you know a little bit of what I said, so that should help you to really gauge what your understanding is. Then study this thing, but pray really hard. President Trump will sign it. Okay, without that signature, it does not happen. So hopefully, and we will have some rescue come out of Washington, D.C. And I am really appreciating you being here. Remember us, Community CPA is here for you, and we really love our clients. And our clients and our potential clients, and even clients who are whatever reason is not here, and we love you because we know that we can only help each other to get better. Okay, and that's our goal. That's why we have this webinar here. Just share our knowledge. We hope you to do better than before you hear our webinar. And I talk to you soon. Bye bye.